Okay, honest question. Have any of you all ever looked around and questioned the foundations of your own personal reality? Okay, before we get into all of that though, let's start at the beginning. All right, so I want to start off by introducing myself. To anybody that doesn't know, I'm Guardia, former 8th grade summer schooler, geometry class repeater, you better get your GPA right or you won't graduate 12th grader, and community college attendee with a BA in graphic design. That is the extent of my formal education, so please keep that in mind as you watch this video. Now, I was born in Hialeah, ironically, to a teacher and a railroad. My dad was a railroad. I don't remember my dad's job title, and none of y'all expected me to because I barely skeeted out of high school. But I do remember that he did eventually become a teacher, which allowed him to spend more time at home, okay? And that had no impact on my grades. But I don't blame him for that. It's not like he was my teacher. And my mom taught special needs children, so way before I ruined my parents' educational credibility, I was but a wee little baby, formless in thought, only craving the things I needed to survive. So as a parent, I can relate to the tremendous responsibility of raising a formless being. We help shape our kids with our truth. Basically the leftovers of teaching, trauma, success, failure, genetics, and everything in between that makes up what we believe. We project that truth onto our kids, intentionally and unintentionally. Now for my parents, the biggest part of their truth was and is Christianity. It was our culture, our race, our language, our gender pronouns. Our faith was the glasses we used to see the world and to filter every single thing through. So I saw the world in black and white, dark versus light. So on the light side was obeying my parents, making good grades, tightening the belt on my pants, and Jesus. On the dark side, of course, was Satan, the grades I actually made, the music I listened to behind my parents' back, and cartoons with too much magic. I listened to Christian music, watched Christian television, ate at church's chicken. And raise your hand if whenever your parents stepped outside without letting you know, you thought you'd been left behind in the rapture. The biggest through lines in my life was my parents' faith, and in all honesty, their love for me. So even though I spent so much of my time in middle school forcing pants to sag that my parents bought in my exact waist size, I did trust them because I knew they loved me. Even when we sat in complete silence with all the lights turned off in the house on Halloween. Now, was I embarrassed that my religion was making me stand out a little bit amongst my peers at school? Yes. What kid, especially in elementary and middle school, isn't just trying to fit? Like you almost want to be anonymous. You just want to be gray. You don't want to stand out for the wrong reason. You just want to fit. That's all I wanted. Now, all that changed when I got into a not so traditional church where people weren't wearing suits every day and I didn't really have to feel like there's nobody my age I can talk to. I mean, things shifted, so people at my church were going to my school now. There was a youth group. Now I'd love to tell you that's the whole point of this video, finding a community, being able to connect to like-minded folks so you can grow and thrive together, but that is not the point. There was something disruptive but life-changing that happened to me. One of my friends in the early 2000s dropped this tiny little seed right in the center of my faith tradition. It was like someone flipping over a famous painting I had been looking at my whole life to show me that there was also this sketch right on the back that the artist had drew. Something I had never paid attention to, something that was there the whole time. But here's what it did. That simple thing, that simple pointing out of something that had always been there, caused me to do something I had never done in my life to this point. I questioned my beliefs. It made me want to genuinely know and understand more about my faith. I'm like, is there more things like this? Can I find, like, it made me want to discover and find more. And so this curious excitement welled up in me and I began to hunt. Like I was digging in my Bible like it was a brand new book. I was excited. I felt like I was on an adventure. I'm reading, looking up resources, studying different languages, trying to get down into the history, trying to understand pieces I never even cared about in the past. Now, to keep it 100, the downside of questioning the fabrics of my faith, as exciting as that time was, is that it caused some pretty heated disagreements between me and my parents. It fueled a lot of emotion, and it made it hard for us to listen to each other. And that was all happening as I was moving out the house for the first time. And to be real, like it put a strain on our relationship for the next 5 years. Now, I do regret there being any emotional distance between me and my parents for those 5 years. Because I know they love me, I know I love them, and nothing like that should get in the way of a relationship when you know there's love. I regret not being able to see my parents' hearts in the midst of that situation and just being too afraid to openly talk to them about what was going on in my mind during those 5 years. Now, there's two things I don't regret. I don't regret that finally at the end of those 5 years, we cut that distance, rejoined, and started to connect again and talk and be more open than we had in the past. I don't regret that. I'm glad we did that. The other thing that I don't regret, in all honesty, is questioning. As clunky and imperfect as my questioning journey started, I do not regret questioning the unquestionable things. Questioning what people often don't question, questioning the things that some people say you should never question. I do not regret that for a second. What started as questions about my faith became questions about my politics, about the culture around me, about my whole worldview. It opened me up to things I had never considered before. I spent time with and around the people I thought were on the opposite side of the black and white worldview I had. I started to reconsider long-held judgments I had about other people. And I kept asking questions and looking for answers. Eventually, that journey came right back around to me. Like I had to face myself in the mirror. And after taking a long look at all the mistakes and intentionally chosen bad decisions in my own life, I couldn't see the world as black and white anymore. Questions helped me see the world in color. You've seen me interview my girls for 7 years, so I've always been a questioner in some way, but now I'm ready to move to the next phase, still including my girls in stuff that I make here, so you're not gonna lose that. But I do wanna talk about some deeper things, some unsettling things, some sometimes controversial things, but things that I'm passionate about. I want to be able to show multiple sides of a story. I want to be able to show the nuance, the depth. I'm hoping that through this, through bringing other people on to learn from together, because I'm a student, but I'm hoping through doing this, there can be a little more love in the world, that we can judge each other less, that we can become more open and learn together. That's where I'm coming from. This channel is going to be dedicated to my life as a father, but also as a man, also as a husband, also as a person at large. It's just the beginning. Thank you for sticking with this video to the end. If you made it this far, I'm going to do this whether you all subscribe or not. I'm going to do this if it lets down some people. If it doesn't let you down at all, if you're excited, hey, I feel great about that. But either way, I'm going to do what I meant to do, and I hope that you all will do the same too in your own lives. See you next week. All right, what kind of things have you all been told to never question, or what things have you been afraid to question? Leave that down in the comments and let's talk about it. Lovingly though, and respectfully.